Namaste, World Raisers.
Boom. We absolutely love Sri M, and we both have read this book. We binged it, and it was absolutely fantastic. And this one is on the list. Sri M on the Ranveer Show. So we are stoked about this. We are going to listen to some incredible spiritual wisdom from the master, the yogi, the sage, the guru, the teacher, Sri M. So hit that like button if you like Sri M and Ranveer. And the full-length watch-along is going to be on Patreon. So we're going to snip this down. Enjoy.
That time I felt very suicidal because I thought that nothing seems to be working for me. Maybe it is because of this body. Maybe if I come back next time in a different situation, different body, it might work. So I came to the edge of Alaknanda, down Mana, and I contemplated on committing suicide actually. I said, let me end maybe I'll come back with... But then I was worried that I might suffer, and I was just thinking, the water rose with a big sound there. Just thinking, how many minutes do you think I'll suffer? And I was just thinking. Anyway, I said, let me meditate for a while and take a decision. So I went back to the Vyasa Gufa. I saw a fire outside. So I said, there must be somebody, because when I went that side, nobody was there. I went inside, and Maheshwarnath Babaji stood up.
The same guru you had met
Yeah,
when
I
you were a
know
child.
that eyes. That eyes were with me all the time, those big eyes. And his first response was, oh, so after wandering here and there, you come back again to me. So I told him, I will not leave you ever. And he said, we'll think about it. I laughed. So I stayed with him. 3.5 years, almost I stayed with him. I wandered with him. Wherever he went, I followed him. I learned from him. He taught me what could be taught in a university for maybe 10 years, in 2 years, 1 year. He carried no books. When he taught Upanishads came from his head. When he taught the Gita, it came from his head. So in those 3 years, I would say it was kind of a crash course for me.
Totally.
I would love for you to talk a little bit about the 3 years, sir.
Many things happened, but the main thing was I started to discover that this man was not an ordinary man. Sometimes before I could think of something, he would know what I was going to think. Because all the scriptures which I learned, the Vedic and the Upanishads and the Yoga Sutras and the he was also an Nathpanthi, so the teachings of Gorakhnath, Goraksha Shataka, Siddha Siddhanta Paddhati, it was all there for him here. He never carried a book. And I learned from him, and whatever I learned, I never forgot.
I would assume that you all mainly focused on actually practicing some form of Kriya Yoga or just
Not
Kriyas.
some form, Kriya Yoga. See, no, Babaji taught me much of the different schools. Like in Indian tradition, we have 5 darshanas. Now, darshanas means schools of philosophy, but the word darshana means face to face. So whatever school of philosophy, ultimately it was to take you face to face with the truth. That's what all the darshanas are about. There is Sankhya, there is Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa, Nyaya, Vedanta, and of course Yoga. These are all darshanas. So I learned all of them, bit by bit, all the texts that were necessary to understand.
But why did you learn all of them?
Because Babaji said, tomorrow you will be given a teaching assignment and you should know everything, because people who come to you will become different fields. You will meet swamis, yogis, different scholars. You need to know what they're saying. So I went through all this, but my practice was Kriya. You sometimes see great yogis, unknown. In fact, after that I discovered that there are more unknown great yogis than the known ones. Seriously. We know only the known ones and we think they are great. There are unknown ones who are greater than anything that you can think of.
Mahayogis.
Wow.
Do you believe in higher beings?
Yes, I do.
You believe in higher beings?
Yes.
And I ask you this because the podcasting community talks about these things all over the world.
I don't believe in higher beings. I know that
I know.
higher beings exist.
What is the meaning of
What
higher
I
beings?
believe means I don't know, I believe. For me, it's not a belief. Higher beings, there are many kinds. First of all, it is so funny to think that in this earth there are only human beings. It's very limited way of thinking. There are other beings. We don't see them, doesn't mean that they don't exist. We don't see the air, but it exists. So there are. Now we are talking, right? We're talking about something serious, and it is going to lead to so many people understanding certain things. Believe me, there are these beings around, encouraging, hoping, helping, saying, push, let it go to the world. You may not see it. That doesn't mean that they don't exist, and it is not necessary to see.
So, in terms of an ant, I don't know if an ant actually has the same kind of perception that we do as human beings, but an ant certainly can't jump.
True.
It moves only in like straight lines.
Right.
So I've often wondered, even as a kid, that what is the perception of that ant?
Yes.
When we can move straight, sideways,
So
and
it doesn't
jump.
understand. Suppose you jump and go from here to there, the ant cannot make out that. It's a miracle for the ant because it knows only the linear directions.
So we are the higher being for the ant.
In relation to, not ant, let's say some other small creatures. And therefore, for the higher beings, we in our undeveloped state are like the ant.
Okay.
It's difficult to conceive even what it is all about.
Where would you even begin this conversation of higher beings? Would you put ghosts in that category? What people reference as ghosts?
No. See, ghosts are generally they come out of one's imagination. Let me put it this way. The human body has electricity. It has, because there are chemicals, there are metals, everything. Now, generally when a person grows old and dies, all this electricity slowly fades off and it's gone. Suppose somebody dies in an accident. Suddenly, what happens to the electric charges? Forget the soul, that's gone. What happens to the electric charges which were in this body and which, because they remained in this body, have acquired a certain shape just like this body? What happens? They are released. That is released. And it is wandering around. You can't see it, and under special circumstances it may be visible. Since for a long time it was inside this body, it will have the same shape and people will say there is a ghost. Over time that will disappear because that charge will be lost. But believe me, it has no intelligence of its own. It cannot hurt you because it can hurt you by fear, of course. You get frightened and you get a heart attack. That's not the fault of that rage, whatever is there. It's the charge that has left the human body because suddenly somebody died while still everything was fresh. But the soul is not there in that. Soul is gone.
Oh, it's like shadow.
What about people who get possessed by these things?
I think 90% of possession is a psychological disease. There is no such person. In rare cases, it may be. But it's not these electrical charges that can possess. In rare cases, other beings are known to have occupied physical bodies.
And these are not necessarily ghosts. These could be demonic entities.
No, they need not be demonic. They can be good entities also. You see, when we say invisible, we always put it into the demonic category. There may be good and there may be bad.
So there are higher beings around us or different beings which are also good.
Yes, of course. They are good. Now here there are good.
Right now.
because
In this house.
because they are encouraging us. So now, wait a minute. Now let me tell you this.
Bodhisattvas.
Which is why when you sit down and pray, you meditate, sometimes you feel good because they are helping you. Sometimes you don't feel because they are doing something else. So there are beings, there is no question. And in fact, if you develop the capacity to see, you may be able to see them also. But for us who are walking on the path to absolute freedom, we don't want to get stuck with these beings. We need to go further up.
What is their purpose? Why are they there?
They are here because, you see, their rate of frequency of vibration of their bodies is different from ours, right? So even if they are here where we are sitting, we don't feel them and they don't feel us because their frequencies are different.
Can they see us? Like, if they wish.
Some, not all can see us. Some are unconsciously there, not even aware that we are here, just as we are not aware that they are there. Rare among them might be able to see, like rare among us may be able to see or feel more than see.
Do you feel anything in this house?
This house, I feel some meditation energies here.
Oh, wow.
Probably because you're meditating or somebody is meditating. And I also see pictures here of the lineage of Lahiri Mahashaya and Sri Guru Babaji. So there are some presences here which are positive. They're not negative presences.
Yeah, yes. I'd love to know about angels, farishte, these things. Are these the higher good beings that you speak of?
True.
So angels are what, God's soldiers?
That is the Semitic narrative of angels. They're not soldiers or anything. They're beings who belong to a different dimension. They will not become human beings, nor will human beings become angels. They're a different. There are many species of such beings on this earth, not only us, Homo sapiens. And they interpenetrate this world. They're also beyond. There are also beings who come from other realms, which are not of this earth.
Not of this universe or not of this earth?
Sometimes from another universe also.
Wow.
So many questions I have right now. So, was it your guru who began to teach you these things?
Yes, of course. In fact, when I went, I didn't have much of faith in all these things. I wanted to do kriya and I wanted to touch the Atman and be free and so on. But he said, but there are many intermediate things between this and that.
Why did you have to learn about these things?
Because they are facts. We need to know them. They exist and sometimes they are very helpful to us. You can always use them for help. And if they are negative, you learn about them. Otherwise, how would you avoid them?
How do you use them for help?
Whenever we sit down and meditate and chant the, like for instance, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, such chants when you do, then these higher beings who are there to help us, they come and influence our minds and help us to be free of distractions. Things like that. Suppose there is some problem happening because of the negative influence of such kind of being, always invoke the positive so that it takes care of it negates the negative.
These higher beings, why would they even cause negativity to us?
Not the higher good beings. When I say higher, I'm talking about that which is not like physical.
Yeah.
What is beyond the physical, that deliberately will not cause harm to you. But there are like beings who can, for instance, increase your desires. Now this for a sadhak, for instance, on the path of spiritual is a dangerous thing. So you need to handle it in its own
You
way.
mean like sexual desires?
Yes, and so on.
And so on. Okay.
Wherever there is lot of sexual activity, you find such beings. They're not bad per se, but they are those who encourage you to carry on with it because they live by it. They enjoy it.
Like a bad college friend, bad influence college
Exactly.
friend.
But they're good fellows. By their own, they are okay. But for us who are walking in a different direction, they may be taking you off.
Yeah. Got you. Just a little naughty elements around you.
That's right. And you may not even know that. Normally we dismiss it as thoughts, but we don't understand that these thoughts could have been infused by someone.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about thoughts not being a property of just your own mind.
No.
Yeah.
Thoughts, as far as, see, I go to a function, I'm giving you a simple example, and somebody is lecturing there. talking, like what Hitler used to do. Then he goes raving in the end. All attention is there, right? Then there is the playing of drums, and there is the music playing, and there is a flag up. Your thought is no more yours. It's been taken over. This is what I mean.
Or circumstances? Maybe circumstances are putting you on.
Also, partly circumstances also can take over and change your thinking. Sometimes you may be thinking something which was never part of your psyche. It may be coming from somebody else or somewhere else.
Okay.
That is why when you sit down to meditate, traditionally they draw a protective circle, which is a mind circle, of course. There's nothing material there. And say, please keep away thoughts from us so that we can meditate. In temples, when you see those grotesque figures standing at the gates, the Dwarapalakas, they are supposed to be symbols of those keeping away evil things.
Yeah, so the higher beings, discussion, that was fantastic, because just point blank, and I love how he says that he doesn't believe. He doesn't believe them, he knows them, right? Because he has had some experiences, right? He went to the Himalayas, he studied under a master, and of course he's been practicing Kriya Yoga for like 40 years now, so the man has some deeper experiences. Like he said, he would have been gone and he never would have come back, but his guru said, go back and then share this with the world, because it needs to be known that, there is higher beings, right? There's, Buddhas, bodhisattvas, deities, angels, archangels, all sorts of, higher beings. So beings on the other side, I love how we stress that they're not all bad, right? We just think of like ghosts and demons and possessed and, no, there's a lot of really, really, good entities. And I love how he commented on Ranveer's house, right? Because he asked about it and he said that, well, you got, images of, gurus and masters, and all these spiritual books, and somebody's meditating, and it's a good energy, right? So, so it's important. And then we can, pray to these deities, right? So I love how he touched on, it's the spark of divinity in everyone, humans in particular, because we have the capacity, to reach these higher states. So, but as far as, God is concerned, it's the whole, like, and we're part of it, right? So we have a direct connection. So absolutely fantastic. So if you liked this video as much as we did, and if you want to watch the full version, then absolutely go watch it. You can watch it with us on our Patreon page, but if not, you need to go watch it or listen to it. And remember, raise yourself
and raise the world. We love you.